An individual has an absolute right to privacy in their home, in Colorado, and in any place in the United States under the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution. You have the right and are protected against unreasonable searches and seizures. What that means is that if law enforcement wants to search your home because they for some reason believe that there are drugs in your home, then they must go to a court, to a judge, and get a warrant signed that shows that there is probable cause that there are drugs in that home, in your home, at that time. Now, if law enforcement comes to your home with a warrant that has been signed by a court, by a judge, to allow a search of your home, the warrant will indicate what parts of your home can be searched. Perhaps it's the whole home, or perhaps it's just the garage. It depends on what the evidence shows in that affidavit, which will be attached to a search warrant, where law enforcement has to set forth the facts that lead law enforcement to believe that there are drugs, but specifically, it has to know where, in what area law enforcement can search and for what items law enforcement can search. For instance, let's say it's a drug case and law enforcement went to a judge and the judge signed off on a warrant to go into your home to search for drugs. It is likely that they also got the right, as signed off by the judge, and there'll be a list of items that can be looked for, that in those items there will be drug ledgers, that there will be other items like drug paraphernalia that the law enforcement officers can search for. Now, be aware that if law enforcement comes into your home to search for drugs pursuant to a lawful warrant, that anything that law enforcement sees in what's called plain view, that means just by looking for the items that they're allowed to look for in the search warrant, if they were to see something in plain view that is illegal, they may also seize those items. If law enforcement does come to your home and they do not have a warrant and they ask, can we search your home? You have an absolute right under the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution and under the Colorado Constitution to say no. You may not come in my home and you may not search my home. If someone who has the right to allow someone into your home says, yes, I consent to you coming into the home, then law enforcement no longer needs a search warrant. Because if you give consent for law enforcement to come into your home, then law enforcement can lawfully come into your home and search your home. If law enforcement comes into your home and they don't have the right to come into your home and no one consented for them to come into your home and they don't have that search warrant signed off by law enforcement and they seize items in your home, such as drugs in this particular case, then your attorney, if you are charged with possession of those drugs, will be able to file what's called a motion to suppress the evidence against you that was found in your home because of the violations of your constitutional rights. If you are concerned about your constitutional rights having been violated, or if you are concerned about a search that was conducted of your home and the legality of that search, contact Nancy Kardon at Kardon Law, and we will go over the circumstances of your particular case to determine whether law enforcement has in fact abided by its constitutional obligations or whether it has violated your constitutional rights.